Hey YouTube, how's everyone doing today? Hobby Reflections here with another video. So, if you watched my last video, and I was rambling quite a bit, so I do apologize for that. I had just woken up. Maybe I should have allowed myself an hour or two to actually wake up and not stumble over my words. My thoughts weren't that clear, so I might do a redo on that video. I don't know. Maybe I'll just leave it. And I'm also not used to having my face on camera, so that may have played a role in it. So I do apologize if some of my thoughts were just all over the place. Not the best video, but that's not what I'm here for. So, as I said earlier in that previous video, we're going to bring back the Beckett Hockey Monthly Reviews, the retro issues. And today, we are doing this issue from May 1996, issue 67, and right here on the cover is the Legion of Doom from the 1995-96 time in the NHL. So you had Mikael Renberg, Eric Lindros, and John Leclair. This trio was pretty dominant in the early, to mid-90s. Mikael Renberg was a young, upcoming, good star. John Leclair was already established. He had won a Stanley Cup with the Montreal Canadiens, and you had Eric Lindros, who was a physical force until concussion issues became a issue later on in his career. But in the 90s, Eric Lindros was a pretty prominent star, along with John Leclair and Mikael Renberg. So this was the Legion of Doom line on the Philadelphia Flyers. So let's get this review underway. So these old Becketts, as I've stated in previous episodes of Beckett Hockey Review, had beautiful artwork all the time on the inside covers, and I wish Beckett would bring this back. If it wasn't for me wanting to keep these issues in pristine condition, I would probably just take these and make one big poster of them. It would be beautiful. So right here you have Sergei Fedorov of the Detroit Red Wings. So pretty nice detail on the artwork. You have the facsimile autograph, Sergei Fedorov. Yeah, pretty nice. Really, just a lot of detail. This artwork was just like a thing of beauty. Okay, on the inside, so it's in this issue. This camera sucks, so I have to get an upgrade. So hopefully it's not too bad. So in this issue, you have the table of contents. The cover, you have Renberg, Lindros, and John Leclair. Some of the photo credits. Jim Carrey and Peter Sikora in the back, which we will get to eventually. Here's a picture of Mark Messier scoring his career goal number 500 in the New York Rangers uniform. Right here we have Devil's Advocate, story about Peter Sikora, seeking Sikora. So it's an article on looking for Peter Sikora collectibles, who at the time was an upcoming promising young player. Doomsday. So this is a article about Eric Lindros on the Philadelphia Flyers, along with the Legion of Doom, and how they were looking to do some damage in the Stanley Cup playoffs. 66, okay. Fortune 500, scoring 500 goals. So this is an article about NHL players who had scored 500 career goals up to this point in May of 1996. And who's next? Some of the players that were in line to join the 500 goal club. Brett Hull to Paul Kariya, who was recently new on the NHL scene. And then we have Picture Perfect Save. So, looks like a fun issue. Here's a really cool old school ad. Wayne Gretzky on the St. Louis Blues. A lot of people forget that Gretzky played for the Blues. It was just for a brief season. He was teamed with Brett Hull, and unfortunately, they didn't do much. Regular season, they were good. But as far as I recall, they didn't do much in the playoffs, and they were eliminated. And then Gretzky went to the New York Rangers and joined his ex-teammate Mark Messier. So this is an ad for SP, which came out in, I believe, 95. Pretty cool. time to vote. So this is the voting for the all Beckett team, which Beckett used to run, and they brought it back for a bit, and it's disappeared since. It might make a comeback at some point. But here's a really old school card of from '95, Mario Lemieux from the Skybox set. So it's just a quick article, quick little read about how you could go about voting in some of your favorite players. Yeah, there we go. Mike Modano, McSorley, McInnes. Wow, some old school names. Miko McKella. I haven't heard that name in years. And then there's like a comic right here. Whatever. Okay, on to the short prints. So these are brief articles discussing some of the goings on in the hobby at that time. So Ronak and Lachey go in motion. So that was the Skybox set that was being released. Blaine Lachey, who used to play for the Boston Bruins, was a spokesman for that, as well as Jeremy Roenick. And they had these motion cards, and I do have a Joe Sakic like that, which I could show you at some point, which maybe in a future video. But it was more or less the same thing as the McDonald's, except for it had wider motion. You could move it, and it would actually show game footage. Pretty cool. That's a beauty right there. I wish I had that one. Sky Mint. And that's a Joe Sakic. I think that's a piece of medallion inside the card. From that's not Skyback, sorry. That's 95-96 Flare Metal, which was a pretty innovative set at the time. So there's a little article on Joe Sakic right there. Okay, right here. Packs from the past, okay? 74-75 OPG, which at this time was probably not so difficult to find, but as time goes on, these boxes are getting harder and harder to find, especially with grading and all that, and people pack searching and reselling packs, which everyone should be aware of and be careful. You do not want to get ripped off after such a large investment. I know I did say that the hobby shouldn't be about investment in the previous video, but when it comes to vintage stuff like this, you don't want to be ripped off either. So just be wary. Do your research if you're buying old boxes, even into the 80s. A lot of people just mess with it. They take out the key cards, such as a Patrick Wall rookie or a Steve Eisman or a Mew. So do your homework. Your best bet is to buy graded or from a trusted hobby store. Do not buy these packs offline. I would not recommend it. Or online, sorry. Just do your diligence so you don't get ripped off. You get your money's worth. So right here is the Mike McPhee subset that was in, I believe it was in Upper Deck. I could be mistaken. No, it was in Summit. So this is where Mike McPhee, who was the GM at the time, former Dallas Stars, okay, there we go. But anyway, he selected some of his favorite players, and it was a pretty good list right here. So that's just discussing that set right there. And then right here we have a 63-64 Topps Jean Rattel. Rattelli, however you say his name. I apologize if I'm getting that wrong. For all you old school collectors, this camera is not agreeing with me. Oh, okay. So right here we have masked miniatures. That's kind of cool. It's a little mini mask from the All-Star game. So you can give that a quick read if you want. You can pause the video by all means, as always. And right here is a medalist membership fee, 2 trophies. So there's Wayne Gretzky. And that's a really cool card too as well. Not exactly sure what set that's from. Stadium Club, I believe. 95-96 Stadium Club. Let's bring that into focus. There we go. Here's just some old publications. These stickers, which I have shown on this channel, from Panini 96, I believe it's Panini. Imperials NHL stickers. Okay, so this was before Panini, or Panini had it, and then it got removed, and then brought to Imperial, and then Panini would pick it up later. But there's a nice Mario Lemieux, 136 issue NHL stickers 96, introduced by the Imperial Toy Corp. Okay. So there's a 86-87 team schedule of the Washington Capitals. Really old school looking. Really nice. And I believe that's Mike Gartner pictured on the front. So there's a little review of the 86-87 Capitals. Yeah, they had Mike Gartner. They had Scott Stevens at that time, I believe. So that's pretty nice right there. Some nice piece of history. What else do we have here? Okay, look at this one. This is pretty cool. Let's look at this for a moment. A 1932-33 O'Keefe Maple Leafs. So that's an old school set. Oh, 32-33. So that would make that approximately just over 87 years old now. That's crazy when you think about it. Or 97 years, sorry. Yeah. I could be wrong in my math there. So yeah, this is a set that used to be available. Collectors of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Cards and memorabilia. Okay, I'm going to focus in so you can read along with me. Way through the years, whether it's the Leafs issuing their own sets or somebody else doing it for them, there have been plenty of Leafs cards and other collectibles out there for hobbyists to pursue. Yeah, Maple Leafs have the Toronto Maple Leafs, especially now with Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, John Tavares. They've always been like a really just prominent in Canada in the hobby. It's just a major hobby center. Any player that goes to the Leafs sees like an increase in their cards. You're seeing it now even with John Tavares. Tyson Barrie might see an increase, as well as Alex Kerfoot, because Leafs fans, they're just passionate about their team. Whether they win or lose, you could knock the Leafs, you can insult them, but there's no denying that the Toronto hobby, it's just very lucrative. Simple as that. The fans are very passionate. So this right here is just a little article about this old school set, and I'm gonna zoom in on this, and that's what the card looks like. Valued at $7,000 in excellent mint condition. The set. One can imagine what that would go for now, because this Beckett was back in 1996, which was 24 years ago. 24 years ago almost. 23 years. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Moving along, we have this ad for Collector's Choice. I believe that, or is that Upper Deck? It's Upper Deck, yeah. Like, look at these old school cards. Special edition. There's the Gretzky collection. I always enjoyed that. And there's the predictor cards. So, award predictors. Now, I could do more research into these, but these were the award predictors. I believe you could send them in if this player, like Gretzky, for example, or anyone else, won the trophy, and you would get a special set back. So Upper Deck that in the 94-95, like 95-96 time period, and Gretzky's goal. So that's pretty cool right there. Yeah, this is when Gretzky broke the all-time points record. Broke Gordie Howe's at the time. And he still leads the NHL in all-time points. So here's an article on Peter Sikora. Three Stanley Cups he won. 3 Stanley Cups. Yes, that's correct. But here's an article. So, Peter Sikora's stock dropped in last year's draft, but the New Jersey Devils, New Jersey rookie has seen hhis Calder Trophy chances rise in recent months, giving his supporters ample opportunity to play devil's advocate. So there's a young Peter Sikora. Here's the article discussing how he came to the NHL, some of his trials and tribulations. Peter's surge up the rookie scoring charts also made something else happen. All the card companies who failed to produce Sikora cards were now kicking themselves, as were the 16 teams that passed on drafting Peter in the 95 NHL entry draft. So there we go. So yeah, he went number 18 to the Stanley Cup champions, the New Jersey Devils. So he might be a two-time Stanley Cup champion, because they had already won the cup and then he was drafted. Okay. Teams may have balked at selecting Peter in part because of twice injured right shoulder that required surgery, but that didn't seem to concern the Devils, especially Lou Lamoriello. Oh, very good. So if you want to, I'll scroll through this quickly. You can pause the video, give it a read if you want to read on Peter Sikora. Any of you New Jersey Devils fans, right here. There we go. There's the article. I hope to do some reading of these articles myself. And seeking Sikora, so up to this point, Peter Sikora doesn't have many rookie year issues. Like he did have some from Images Hockey. I remember breaking a box of this when I was like 12 years old in Ontario, and I really liked the set. Looking back, it was kind of blah now, but at the time it was really cool just to see some of the young upcoming players, and they had some really creative inserts. So if I could get my hands on a box of those, I would gladly break it for you in the near future. So yeah, here's the reader's right. Let me focus on this. There we go. I enjoyed the short print article on Mike Maphey and Pinnacle. And yeah, so you can just read some of these. I'm going to select one here now. Okay, so this is when people would write into Beckett. You don't need this now because everything's like on the internet, readily available. I can't believe how low you valued the 95-96 Emotion Jeremy Roenick Sky Motion card. It takes 3 wrappers at a cost of at least $5 each, plus $25 just to get the card by mail. That's $40 right there. Is the card really that undesirable? Not at all. In fact, we were fairly impressed with the effort, although it was nowhere near as nice as the Brett Favre football Sky Motion card. What has held down the value of the card is the distribution. Not only was it available via a mail-in offer, but the card was also inserted as a chip topper into sealed cases. These additional copies help keep the card's price at a more accessible level. Yeah, so that's what caused the value of that card not to be as high as the reader had hoped. There we go. Yeah, and there's the Skybox Motion card, Jeremy Roenick. Pretty cool. Okay, and here's a full contact from 95-96 Pinnacle of Brendan Shanahan on the St. Louis Blues at the time. Knowing when to list prices on cards such as Pinnacle's full contact inserts often is a difficult task. Not so much anymore because of eBay. People, they don't have to really wait that long to assess the value of cards. Usually you can do that like 3 or 4 days after a release. It wasn't like that back in 1996. It's just a whole different era of collecting. Okay, and Pulse of the Hobby. So we'll look into this quickly. Okay, sorry, let me focus that. The question, with the playoffs just around the corner, which players' cards do you anticipate experiencing an increase in value? So this gentleman says Wayne Gretzky, Eric Lindros, right here, next all. So you can just get some opinions from people. This is pretty cool. I wish Beckett would do this now. It'd be pretty cool just to get back to the roots of what the hobby and discussion used to be. Detroit has such a dominating team. Players such as Paul Coffey, Steve Yzerman, and Sergei Fedorov might receive increased interest with a long run. Mark Messier, Brian Leetch, and then there's Gretzky and Lemieux, Sergei Fedorov. So some of these names, they were already established by this point, but these folks were predicting that they would have a good cup run. And as it turns out, the Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup in 1996. So none of them discussed Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg, Patrick Waugh, but you know what? It was purely speculation at this point. Colorado they were really good. This one collector though did mention Claude Lemieux, who was on Colorado. It's pretty cool because he had won 2 Stanley Cups up to that point, and he was on the Devils. And there we go. So that is pretty cool. Okay, we move into the Beckett price guide. I won't spend a whole lot of time on this. I'll glance over it. Anything that pops up to me. Let's get the value of a Gordie Howe rookie at this time. Same as it is today. If this could focus for me, Gordie Howe, $3,000. Yeah, that hasn't changed, but graded copies go for way more than that. So you just enjoy some of the old school photos of these cards. Really cool designs. Just a throwback. There we go. And this is an odd placement for this, but Beckett should have had this at the beginning of the price guide. What's hot? So Wayne Gretzky, Joe Sakic. That's pretty cool. So let's read on Gretzky for a minute. Kudos to Flair for being quick out of the blocks with the first card of the Great One in his new colors. So yeah, that was 95-96 Flair Ultra cool Wayne Gretzky subset card. It's pretty cool. As was the case in 1988, hobbyists were anxious for a glimpse of the recently traded Gretzky with his new club. This caused an early run on this issue, which exceeded even the normally high demand for Gretzky's cards. Obviously, that dropped off way after, but back in this time, there was no such thing as game jersey cards. Autographs were kind of limited. It was strictly just inserts and all that and speculation, and people wanted the new thing. So that's pretty cool. There we go. Patrick Waugh was another hot player at this time. This card also earned a high profile for picturing a star player in his new sweater. So placed Patrick Waugh as one of their top sellers. The super premium issue, his first with the Avalanche, removed any worry that his luster would fade with his acrimonious move from Montreal. So that's the 95-96 Zenith set. Joe Sakic. If an award ever existed for quiet consistency in the league, Sakic's name would be all over it. His offensive wizardry is finally being recognized in the hobby since his move to Denver. His Avalanche cards are his strongest sellers at the moment. That's pretty cool. And then there's Mark Messier, who won the Stanley Cup and guaranteed the Stanley Cup victory for the New York Rangers in 1994. Pretty cool. Keep an eye on Peter Bondra. Scored 50 goals despite missing 15 games. That's pretty nice. His 90-91 rookies can be had for pocket change. That remains true to this day due to overproduction. So back to looking at some of the cards. Really cool. Just the look at some of the old pics. I should show you this, how to use, there's the condition guide, so if you want to read that quickly. Some of it remains true today, but, you know, some of the corners, discussion on like corner condition. There's a legend. Pretty cool. Let me just show you some of this stuff. I'm going to skim through the price guide section. Yeah, there we go. There's the going into the 90s now. Overproduced stuff. Some of the, like Peter Bonder's rookie went up to $250. Fedorov $18. $20 for Yager's OPG Premier. So some of the player movement, and there wasn't as many, like, you know, there was more player movement at this time because the market was still relatively new. There wasn't as many products out, unlike today where it's just like just crazy. But also, this is like 20 years old, so, or, yeah, 24 years old, so times have changed. There's a Dominic Hasek Parkhurst rookie. Pinnacle. There's Joe Sakic right there. Pretty cool. And then we continue on. There's a 92-93 Parkhurst. There's a box of that. It's kind of steep over at a hobby shop, but I might pick it up just for a old school break. Yeah, so some player movement here. Alexei Gashin there, going down in value, yeah. So, pretty cool, just to skim through this. This is when there weren't many sets to list, so Beckett could focus more on the pictures, unlike today. Some really cool stuff. Here we go. There's Pavel Bure, 94-95 Pinnacle. Patrick Waugh, 94-95 Ultra. This is like the 95-96. This is where the inserts got really cool. One of my like favorite time periods for inserts. Like, look at that mask card. That's really cool. Mask card, and some of these were just like insane value. Like, you wouldn't get that now, but still, like $80 for Jim Carrey. You wouldn't get that for like $15-20 now probably. But they were hard inserts at the time to pull. Yeah, this is when I was really into the hobby. I still am today, but when I was young and just enjoyed it and didn't care about value, it's great just to look through cards and as a fun little pastime. So, there's the Zenith set. That set in 95-96 was really cool, just really innovative at the time. There's the predictor cards right there, as shown before. So yeah, and then there's the show listings. So many shows, unreal when you think about it. Just like, yeah, Beckett was very prominent, and they're still prominent today. But back then there was no internet, and everyone had to rely on Beckett or local card shows. So here's a cool story about Eric Lindros and the Legion of Doom, his teammates Renberg and Leclair. There's a nice photo of Eric Lindros. So if you want to, I'll just skim through this article right here. Yeah, they were pretty prominent in the mid-90s, as I mentioned earlier. Really good freeze frame, so some cool cards there, gifted grinders. Only a Stanley Cup will, yeah, but Eric Lindros unfortunately would never win a Stanley Cup. It's the one thing that holds him back from, being considered one of the true elites in the game. Could have won a cup with Colorado, but you know what? If he had stayed with Quebec, who had drafted him, there's no guarantee that he would have won a cup. So, because then they wouldn't have ended up with Peter Forsberg, Mike Ricci, and some of those key aspects. So, you know, it's really unfair to say, oh well, if he had stayed with Quebec, he would have won a Stanley Cup, because it would have like just changed everything. There we go, just discussing Eric Lindros and John Leclair and Mikhail Renberg. Sure sell. Eric Lindros cards have melted collectors' hearts in Philadelphia, and now the entire Legion of Doom is enjoying sizzling hobby popularity. Yeah, in the mid '90s, like this is one of the key inserts from that time period. Power lines, or yeah, tops. So yeah, Leclair, Lindros, Mikhail Renberg, and this was like had different teams. Yeah, had different teams and like the most prominent players on those teams. So right here it was Leclair, Lindros, and Renberg. On Colorado, I believe it was Wall, Forsberg, and Sakic. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, this discusses how Lindros' cards were popular already, and then that spurred interest in John Leclair and Mikhail Renberg. There we go. Pretty cool. Okay, Fortune 500. So these are the 500 goal scorers up to this point, May 1996, who had joined that elite club in the NHL. So Steve Yzerman scored his 500th goal at home. Howardchuk reached the mark on the road. And Lemieux and Messier each netted their 500th goal as a hat trick. That's pretty cool info. Damien Cox, wow. Damien Cox used to write for Beckett. But it's probably, yeah. So that's a cool picture of Lemieux and Mark Messier battling. Right here is just some old school highlight cards from Score. There we go. That's when Score was not being released by Panini. Panini honestly did a terrible job with Score. Didn't really catch anyone's interest and took away. But then again, it was meant to be a low tier product, meant for young collectors just getting into the hobby. It had some plus points, you know, like the check-it cards, but like the mid '90s Score, that's like one of my favorites, some of my favorite sets. So this discusses limited appearances. So yeah, Yari Curry scored his 500th goal. There we go, pretty cool. NHL goal leaders right here: Phil Esposito, Vic Hadfield, Bobby Hall. Get you to focus. That's a really cool card. And there's Stevie Yzerman. The 500th goal club. So these are the players that had scored 500 points up to this point. Look at Gretzky with 837 goals. Gordie Howe with 801. Marcel Dion, Phil Esposito, Mike Gardner, Bobby Hall, Yari Curry, Mike Bossy, Guy Lafleur, Mario Lemieux, Johnny Busick, Lino Ciceretti, Michel Goulet, Maurice Richard, Stan Mikita, Mark Messier, Frank Mahovich, Brian Trottier, Steve Yzerman, Gilbert Perreault, Beliveau, Howardchuk, and McDonald. And the asterisks marks players that were still active at this time. That's pretty cool. Here's so let's get some of the article for you. There we go, if you want to give it a read. There we go, and while we're paused on this for a moment, that's a really cool card from 79-90 Opeachy, Gretzky's rookie year. But that's a really cool card of Mike Bossy, Marcel Dion, and Guy Lafleur. Really, really cool. Michel Goulet, Wayne Gretzky, Gardner, and Trottier. That's the subset, 500 goal subset from 91-92 Parkhurst. My camera is just struggling to stay focused. I do apologize for that. There we go. One of my favorite cards, Yzerman and Joe Sakic. Pretty cool. And there's a picture of Dale Hawerchuk on the Philadelphia Flyers. So, pretty substantial article, really informative. Let me bring it so that you can read it if you want to read some info. And then this discusses who could have been next. So these three players, Brett Hull, Paul Kariya, Pavel Bure, were in line to score 500 career goals. I'd have to check, I don't recall their goal totals off the top of my head, but Brett Hull definitely reached it. Paul Kariya, I'm not too sure. He may have just fallen just short. And I'm pretty sure Pavel Bure reached 500 goals. I could be mistaken. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to look up some info on that. And then there's Teemu Selanne and Alexander Mogilny. Teemu Selanne definitely scored 500 career goals. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And then, so up next, picture perfect save. So cards that pictured really nice saves. And some of these cards are really nice. Like there's a nice one of Patrick Roy from the Stadium Club set, just stretched out and gloving that goal attempt. Johnny Bauer. We have Trevor Kidd. And there's Dominik Hasek against Pavel Bure, one of the best card photos of all time. It's really nice. Felix Potvin and Ed Belfour right there. So that's an article there. And then we continue on with more great photos. So we have Kirk McLean denying Brett Hull. We have... Sorry, everyone, just give me... That's my Facebook app trying to talk with me. Sorry. That one is J.C. Bergeron. Trevor Kidd making a nice save. There's a really nice one of Patrick Roy. Marty Brodeur on his back, sprung to make a save. And then there's a really nice net cam photo of Andy Moog. Top 5 all time. Top 5, according to Beckett. So you have Jacques Plante, which is a really nice one. This is a really vintage looking, just a really old school picture. You have Ken Dryden, Terry Salchuk, pro set card. You have Bill Ranford and Kelly Rudy. Some of the nicest photos. And what's your favorite? So they wanted you to write in what was your favorite photo. Pretty cool. Star save. So you had Patrick Roy denying Wayne Gretzky, and this picture was used recently on I believe it's 2014-15, like some of the wire photos. This exact photo. So in an SP Authentic Moments in one of the recent sets, this photo was used. So Brodeur, young Martin Brodeur. That's pretty cool. And then you have Dominik Hasek making a save, Felix Potvin, Mike Richter, and Cujo. Pretty cool. So we end this 40 minutes. I apologize for the length, but you know what? I hope you all enjoyed. Jim Carrey on the Washington Capitals. So that's a really cool, detailed, and no, not Jim Carrey the comedian, but Jim Carrey on the Washington Capitals. And then in the back, Peter Sikora. And there's a Donruss card, rated rookie of Peter Sikora. So okay, everyone, hope you enjoyed that Beckett review. I will be getting more up later. Hope you enjoyed that little throwback to the past. Beckett Hockey Monthly, May 1996, featuring Mikael Renberg, Eric Lindros, and John Leclair. Okay, everyone, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And hope you all have fun with the hobby, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye, everyone. Cheers.